Good morning. Poleni sana, we had a guest which took us a little longer. But this press conference largely is an update from the National Elections Board with respect to our ongoing process. Is any of these microphones the one that can amplify the voice? Is there a microphone that amplifies? Okay.
Yeah,
Is this the one?
that's what it is.
So this largely is about this, the press is largely to just give you an update. You do realize as a party that we have been under the process of strengthening this party, and largely because we want to ensure that we entrench it within our membership to make it a national party that is formidable and that is national. So I have with me here a number of leaders, but more particularly we have Honorable Kasim Tandaza, the MP for Matuga from UDA, and we have a series of directors from the party in the various aspects of our party management. So let me now welcome my brother Anthony Moura, who is the chairman of the National Elections Board, to give an update on the elections that are happening tomorrow.
Thanks so much. Having elections in 18 counties allowed the country, mainly in Mount Kenya region and Rift Valley region. We were supposed to have elections in 20 counties, but we removed 2 counties, that is Nakuru, because as you are aware, there is a safari rally which is happening there tomorrow, from yesterday, today, tomorrow and Sunday. Then there is Kakamega County, whereby there has been a massive registration, and we thought that because there are so many contestants, more than 40,000 contestants, we decided to give them their day, which will be on 28th for Kakamega and Nakuru. So tomorrow, our elections will happen as scheduled. They will be starting at 8 in the morning and ending at 5 in the evening. We will be doing elections in 8,819 polling stations, and we will be having almost 19,000 election officials, that is the returning officers and the clerks, who will be in their station. They are being trained today, and they are going to go there with the devices. We are going to use 9,000 devices all out, and we are training the elections officials today. And once we finish training, they will move to their respective polling stations, whereby they are expected to be there and start the elections by 8 tomorrow in the morning. As you are aware, our elections comes out immediately. We finish voting. Within 10 minutes, maximum of 10 minutes, we usually have got results. From there, we will be having elections in the other remaining 20 counties, which it will be done on 4th March, because we had to push it with 1 week. We are supposed to have those elections on 28th, but we decided in respect or in honor of our former MP, Ngeno, we pushed the elections with 1 week. And we tend to believe that as it has been our nature, our elections, we know that it will be very free, verifiable, and without any violence. And we are warning our party members to desist from violence, especially violence against women. At the end of the elections, we have got allowed 500,000 contestants, and after the elections, we will be having almost 180,000 party officials. And out of the 180,000 party officials, at least 30% of them will be women. That is something which the party leader is seriously emphasizing, and it must happen. From there, by the end of the whole exercise, the party will be having 580,000 elected party officials in all the polling stations around the country. And with those many remarks, I tend to believe that as you are aware, and you can see, and you have witnessed, that we are always ready to have these elections, and we are the first party since independence. And not only since independence, because even before independence, there is no other party which had done grassroots elections. So we are the first party in this country to do party elections. And we tend to believe that by the month of June, we have concluded the elections all the way up to the National Delegates Conference, which will happen in Kasarani. Any question or clarification? Our SG is going to, he comes from the coast. He's a very good in Swahili, and he's also mentoring us to be addressing you people in Swahili.
But just a couple of other aspects that I wanted to emphasize. Undeniably, UDA is today Kenya's biggest and most popular party. You've all witnessed the various elections that we have won. You've all witnessed the various elections that we have won. Literally a no contest. What most of you, though, in the media do is to hype what I call paper tigers. Make it appear like the government is on such a back foot and crisis. But every time we have gone to the people of Kenya, we have been vindicated by a very resounding validation of those most impacted by Kenya's or the UDA broad-based government's programs. Today, the impact is so amazing, be it in healthcare, be it in agriculture, be it in matters of housing, be it in inclusive economy, job creation, in terms of stabilization of the shilling, which has made our imports fairly more predictable, the issue of cost of living, the reduction of food prices. But the negativity that continues in the social media and some of your media houses is a relentless effort to sabotage this government and this country. But we are very grateful that the people of Kenya have stood firm. And as Maura encourages our members, who are the pillars of our popularity and our strength, to participate in these elections, it's about creating popular leaders. It's about ensuring that we mobilize the grassroots. It's about creating an extensive national network of leaders and party mobilizers. We are fighting against people who are overrated in the media, people with no track record, people who don't have the kind of political institutions that we are building. Elections are won through discipline, strategy, and track record. And I think the UDA encompasses all that. So I think to a large extent, one of the reasons we call you here is a demonstration. We hardly, as I told you, some of the secretary generals are constantly in the media. They wake up in the morning and come to your newsrooms. And then you amplify those voices, which is fair enough. So it's the independence of this country that we have in terms of democracy. But other secretary generals come to the office and put up a political structure. That's what wins an election. If we were to rely on some of your media houses, which I see here, will have not been winning a single election. If Kenyans were to rely on headlines from the Standard, we will never be winning a single election. But the country is more wiser than that. They know the ownership of some of these media houses and the continued sabotage. Some of them wish on this country. But we are grateful. And tomorrow we'll see the compliments of the membership of the UDA coming out in their numbers to choose their leaders. And then we will do another repeat session of the same elections on the 9th of April, next month, for another 22 counties. The repeats for Kakamega and Nakuru will be on the 28th. Nakuru was postponed because of the WRC, the World Rally Championships, so that we allow our people and our supporters to partake to that event. So I think what we are trying to say is UDA is where democracy is in process and demonstrably. UDA is the only party that has the footprint to run an election anywhere and win everywhere. Those who say they are kingpins of certain areas, we have floored them repeatedly and we will beat them again. We are winning in new territory that were hitherto never UDA territories. We have grabbed significant seats from Jubilee. No, Jubilee has not been able to win an election, apart from you guys overrating its party leader. He could not influence an outcome of an election when he was president. He cannot influence it as a retired president who appears to have once or twice to just say things that he didn't do, he himself never did. You know? So that kind of things, those kinds of demonstrable gains by the UDA party. Tomorrow again, as the elections take root, we were just meeting the deputy party leader, who is the deputy president of Kenya, fireman himself. He will be here tomorrow again to give you a further update on the progress and the status of our grassroots elections, hopefully at 10 a.m. tomorrow, so that we continue to keep you guys engaged, with the hope that some of you will use your reasonable faculties to start accurate reporting of matters of this state and to start loving this country a little more and tempering your hatred a little less, so that we are able to make progress as a party and as a country. Lakini hapo wengine wenu hawakuja kutafuta story, wamekuja kutwist. Sasa hivi niseme ka joke kamoja kwa tandaza, mtaficha hiyo joke. That's how much of a joke some of you in the media have become, or some of you members of some of the media houses have become. They will take the joke just now. Nikimwambia tandaza kitu hivi, badala kuongelea hii story substance. And then you wonder, this young man or woman and his editors, or her editors, kwani walitoka shule gani? Yeah. Off cuff. Ile kitu sasa hivi nimwambie Mwaura iko hivi, watachukua hiyo. So you've come here to actually derail, to misinform, misreport, to sabotage. But I can tell you, time and again, the people of Kenya, I have said it, I will take it upon myself to consistently, because I'm a human rights person with the background, there is no right to disinform this country. There is no right to sabotage a government. There is no right inherent in you to constantly keep telling lies. But we've allowed you to go forward in the ambit that you think you're exercising your freedom. I am not diverting, but I think as a SG of this party, I don't respond usually to most of these things that we see, because a lot of Kenyans have tended to ignore. But I must continue to make the point, because I see many young faces here. Don't allow owners of your media houses and a few angry editors or sub-editors to destroy this country. I make this point in every press conference I make, because I think it is important as a country to start having and respecting what is done, what is genuinely being done. You know, kama sisi minorities, we are fairly respected in this country. Alikuwa tuko kwa meza, siku hizi tuko kwa meza, tuko kwa press conference kama sasa hivi, tuko mahali nyingi sana. Because yesterday, KRA, the commissioner, a new commissioner was appointed, part of strengthening minorities. The chairman of the National Land Commission comes from Kwale. Inaonesha inclusivity bwana. Hitherto we never counted in this country. Alafu nyinyi mna expect utakuja utuambie mambo ya mtu mwingine huko hiyo maeneo sijua Munyoro sijui nani. But anyway, we are strengthening this party, and that's what it is important. And we are strengthening it not only through elections. Elections is building the grassroots infrastructure, but on the performance of this government and the inclusivity of our economics and our politics. Asanteni sana.
Asante sana.
Question here is Chief.
Yes.
This week on Tuesday, you have endorsed the Commission of Agriculture Committee to work on the coalition plans. How far have you considered the plans? And as UDA, have you named 4 members of your team? And number 2, we had allegations.
Allegations?
Yes. from Henry Sifuna, the former ODM saying the MOU has expired. From where you sit, because you are part of the team that drafted the document, has it expired?
First and foremost, the timetable is such that the ODM will have its NDC on the 27th, and hopefully after the NDC, they will also come up with those names of technical people. And this technical committee, the purpose of it is to draft the framework or the terms of reference upon which the negotiating team will work on. So I think that's work in progress, and sooner than later, we should be having that technical committee in place, particularly after the NDC by ODM. That is, at least to my last understanding, the steps that will be taken towards formation of the technical team that will work on the framework, that will work on the terms of reference, and then set up, and then midwife the negotiating team, which will largely be a bipartisan process of parliamentarians. You know, my brother, Sifuna and his team are still stuck in that old constitutional dogma where there was an opposition and a government. The new constitutional arrangements allow us a framework of bipartisanship between the minority side and the majority side. And these are two parties that have, out of sheer voluntary or sheer goodwill, decided to work together. That working arrangement does not distinguish upon the death of Raila Odinga. They are trying to tie Raila's death as also extinguishing the life of the bipartisan process so created. It's a very simplistic way of looking at it. If God had willed and Raila Odinga was alive, I think the process and the outcome will still be the same. So for him to simply try now to bring innuendos, and there's nothing wrong to extend the life of a process on the basis that significant progress has been made by a certain team. I took personally as Secretary General, if you do recall, on the 7th of March, the MOU of last year, 2025, that MOU in the same KICC was read by Sifuna and myself, but not signed by Sifuna and myself. It was signed by the two party leaders committing their parties to a bipartisan process. That party leader now is Oburu Odinga. And because of that commitment, look at that MOU of 7th of March. It was signed, I read it, and I even read the part where I said it will be signed by these two party leaders, His Excellency William Ruto and His Excellency the late Prime Minister Raila Odinga. The fact that those two leaders were acting in an institutional capacity, that responsibility then transitions to the party leader, Oburu Odinga. And the same discretion that was exercised in free will, voluntary, that MOU was signed. You heard the president saying we signed it in their own motion, under no coercion, to just make Kenya a perfect union, and highlighted 10 agenda points that they thought were important in terms of strengthening our democracy and our institutions and responding to some of the economic challenges. Just the mere fact that now Baba passed on, there cannot then be the reason for Sifuna and Orengo and that Uhuru kind of cacophony of puppets to now try to run innuendos, to try and defeat the very process that is supposed to be an ongoing process for the length of time until this matter is successfully concluded. And it's a bipartisanship process. We have a minority and a majority side who've committed to working together on topical issues of national importance and to meet and to address certain challenges. So I think he's misguided. And I think he knows that he enjoys a lot more likes in the social media. He knows that you guys are looking for sound bites. I am told by members of parliament, of the Senate, he will go in, say something, put it in TikTok and leave. I think that was meant for TikTok. It was not meant for factual analysis of the situation. I know that He said pesa ya Uhuru haijakuwa madhambi, so probably alimwambia Junet, so probably anapata pesa ya Uhuru. Na hata kule masenate walimwaccuse akasema pia yeye kabla hajaongea ama akiongea vibaya ni kwa ajili alipata ama hakupata pesa. So maongeo yake pia must be taken in that context, that their patrons who support him, and then their likes in the social media, and then there is a TikTok content creation and many other things. So I think just to finalize on that particular process, I sat with that committee severally. And even because it was said that the two parties will finance that process, it is when Sifuna was going for various concerts, then with Mushomba, even now Mushomba is with us, yeah, and other, politicians, I and Junaid Mohammed were working tirelessly to see that that committee works. The UDA party financed that committee to the extent of its obligation. Junaid Mohammed supported the secretariat through, again, the party system to ensure that that committee worked. Yet the SG, whose mandate that was everywhere in your media houses and newsrooms. Badala ya kuja kwa chama ufanye kazi, yuko newsroom. Si mimi mara nyingi mnaniona niko hapa. Yeye mara nyingi mkimtafuta yuko kwa newsroom. So that's where you run a party from its office and its institutions. So he didn't commit himself to even ensuring that that committee was working, even when the late Raila Odinga was alive. The few times we met to discuss the progress of that committee, even when the late Raila Odinga was alive, Sifuna was not present. So you can then not cast aspersion of a process that you did not know how it was conceptualized, how it was actualized, and where it is headed, and where the objectives are. So I think the institution of the MOU was signed by the free will of the two-party leaders, and the two-party leaders are at liberty to continue to extend the mandate, because the role of that party leadership has now transitioned to Oburu Odinga.
Just for clarification.
There was by the time that mandate was expiring, and the committee did request that there is an extension of that mandate by 60 days, and that mandate was granted. How many times have we extended the life of committees, working groups, commissions, hearings, because there is some more assignment to be finalized? And that committee was formed way after the MOU was signed. The MOU was signed on 7th of March 2025. The committee was set up sometime in August of 2025. And it had some structural challenges to start work immediately. And when it started work, it did an extraordinarily good job. And we thought that it is important, upon their request, to extend their mandate. It is not rocket science. It is common sense. It is not something new. It has happened time and again.
My name is from Veteran.
From?
Veteran.
Okay.
You have said social media is basically the computer problem, whatever government is working on. But as for you, UDA, NST, what's your plan so that the mama on ground, she can understand what government is doing? Because if social media is misleading, that means one day kupita or a video post the page aonyeshe mamake serikali ifanye hivi. But as for you kama saizi kwamba unatuambia ati serikali ifanye, but yule mwananchi haijamfikia yeye, yule mama aelewe vizuri tendo. But what are you going to do so that yule mama can understand what government?
But the evidence is so scientific. We have won all the elections, and that mama was voting and did not listen to your TikTok. That's why I said if they were voting purely on account of TikTok and social media, UDA will have lost everything. But they have won everything because the party has a way of getting to the ground, and the impact of its own policies and programs is there for everybody to witness. And in fact, most of these places where we are winning elections are those that have been greatly impacted by the policies and the frameworks and the programs of the UDA broad-based government. So kama ingekuwa ile mambo ile Munyoro anasema ni ya ukweli, na yule mama haelewi vile mnamuita mama. Unajua kuna siku mmoja alisema Wanjiku anaelewa nini. Wanjiku became our symbolism. You know, some of you here think just because tunaishi town mko na akili mingi zaidi wale wanakaa kule. Wale mashinani pia wanajua ile kitu wanataka and their aspirations. They might be a bit disconnected from what we, you know, the urban Gen Z is very different from the rural Gen Z. The rural Gen Z anachukua subsidized fertilizer, anaenda anapanda anafanya ukulima, anapata do. Urban Gen Z anaongojea kazi, na wakati haijakuja anaenda kwa social media, anaanza matusi na vitu kama hivyo. There are two various different demographics of the same age set subsect but with different challenges. So kama yule mama alikuwa hajui hivyo, singekuwa tunasikiza ile mambo ya Munyoro, Mbere isengepatikana, Muminji isengepatikana, na Evorore isengepatikana. Kama ingekuwa nasikiza hivyo, yule jamaa ile ya sijui Tawe, ingekuwa sisi Kabras ingekuwa ikupatikana, na hii Malava ingekuwa amepata yeye mtu ya Tawe, lakini watu wakaambia Tawe wewe.
Question. The chairman will be from nation. My question is on how much are you going to spend in this last election? The second question is how do you intend to handle disputes arising from this particular exercise?
I think the other time we were here, I explained to everybody that our budget was from the other elections of the 20 counties we did, including this one. Our budget is around 150 billion. That is the amount of money we are going to use for this exercise. And you know, now the money is usually allocated even by Parliament. So these are not the days whereby we always go to the well-wishers. Number two, once we finish our elections on the 14th, then the disputes committee comes and sits down and starts hearing the disputes, which would have arisen from the people who have been dissatisfied from the crowd. And incidentally, because of the devices we are using, we hardly get any disputes. I can tell you for sure, because the results, and even tomorrow, the media people who have been very supportive since I became the chairman of the National Election Board in the year 2021. We have been very supportive in my constitutional dispensation, and I want you tomorrow to follow the results from our website, and you see how the results comes in. Each and every vote, as it is being voted, it counts. And at the end of the day, at 5, within 5 minutes, the total addition is usually done by the gadgets, and the results are usually out for everybody to see. That is why we hardly had any doubts. And I can tell you for sure the nominations we have done in those by-elections, that is why we produce the best candidates. And I can tell you for sure the way the SGS is saying, ours is not coming to the media houses, but wait and see what is going to happen in 2027. Since I became the chair, I've never lost any elections, and I'm not going to do any elections because I do my homework properly, and I produce the best candidates, and I might do my work honestly without shouting from the top. And tomorrow you'll be using around 9,000 gadgets, and anybody anywhere can follow the results as they are coming out.
But Nation, that was actually in the Nation. But we are audited by the Auditor General's office. Our funds are from the Consolidated Fund under the PPF, Political Parties Fund. And I am the accounting officer of that fund. And one of the things that money is supposed to do is to strengthen parties and democracy. So by the time we are done with this election, there will be an audited account. And by the way, you will find that the figures are the 150, and this other phases is 231 million. It is in public domain. You know, we are not. We also get a fairly significant allocation from the Political Parties Fund. We get about. We are the highest. We are the biggest party in the country, and we get about 800 million annually from the PPF, and then their member contributions. So Mukija, this it's not that tuna struggle mahali. We get this money from PPF and from our parties, I mean from our members to strengthen the party's operations, and we use it for that purpose. So to use a budget of 231 to give you a grassroots infrastructure, a million, is a fair deal for the party and for the people of Kenya, and it is audited eventually by the Auditor General's Office. We will find it in our financial reportings of the year 2024, 2024, 2025, 2026.
And to add on that, because you have asked a very good question, because all these are public taxpayers' money, and we are supposed to be open about it. I have said that tomorrow we are hiring 19,000 election officials. If you do a simple calculation, each and every official, each and every day we are giving that official a moderate of 1,500 for 3 days. You can do just simple calculation. So you are even creating employment for the next 3 days. That is how we are touching the rest of those people. When you are in town, you are saying that there's nothing which is happening about UDA. Go there and talk to those youths who are there. The people who are conducting our elections, I can tell you for sure confidently, are the youths, the university students. Even sitting of these gadgets, each and every day, we usually have around 200 young people who are doing the data city. And one of these 5 days, I'm going to invite you to come and see what happens there. It is something which is usually so scientific and deliberately done that we will be amazed. And we only do this so that we can enrich our democratic principles. Give credit where it is due. Others are not even doing elections, they are doing nothing. They are being given that money, and you are heaping praises on them. It's as simple as that. And we are here even in 2027. You conduct the usual credible elections we conduct. And at the end of the day, you see the most credible and the biggest party coming about. Any other question?
My name is Konet Hussein from the 47. My question goes to the SG. SG, how soon should we expect formal talks between UDA and ODM? And then secondly, what is the fate of existing parties like for Kenya within that month? Are we going to see a situation where, for example, for Kenya we lose the position of Speaker of the National Assembly? They haven't been mentioned so much in the conversation. And then also comment something on Kindiki. Is Kindiki secure in that position because ODM is very...
Who is Kindiki?
Professor.
Nasema kama ambaye mnakaa college moja. One, I gave a time frame to the question there that we expect first and foremost to have the technical committee, which will develop the terms of reference and the framework for the negotiations, and that I expect will be set up after the 27th March NDC of the ODM party. So and then after that, we expect the technical committee to take a couple of weeks to come up with the framework and the issues and the terms of references, and then on the basis of that, then a negotiating team will be formed. You know, the negotiations will be on a raft of issues, including coalition building. So haraka iko, lakini pia tunaangalia 2027. So we'll give ourselves sufficient time to ensure that we exhaust all matters conclusively headed to the 2027 elections with ODM. Number two, Kenya Kwanza is still alive. This government is Kenya Kwanza that became broad-based government. A lot of the commitments that were made under the Kenya Kwanza government are still alive and well. And therefore, nobody is affected by this resolution or by this process. And I think all of them, including the Speaker of the National Assembly, the Speaker of the Senate, who is from the Power Party, are all supportive of this process. Ministers like Alfred Mutua, who are from Chap Chap, and everybody, all the commitments that were made continue to still bind us as the Kenya Kwanza broad-based government. And finally, you know, that is not that for us the issue of Professor Kindiki is an issue that should not actually suffice. The president has the absolute free will to choose the deputy president or the running mate. As we had said it, and we state what we stated in the Coast over the weekend, you cannot separate the presidency. These are not two separate positions, that you are a president and there's a deputy president position. We do not vote or nominate a deputy president. We nominate the presidential candidate, who then uses his own discretion to nominate his deputy president. And therefore, that is not in contest. It is not a matter to negotiate about. We negotiate about the structure of government. The presidency is one single unit, and the president has the absolute mandate, or the candidate, to choose his running mate. And therefore, it is not a subject of whether Professor is safe or not. I think the UDA deputy presidential candidate is none other than Professor Abraham Kithure Kindiki. Asanteni sana. Mungu awabariki.